This regular meeting of the governing body of the Zoning Board of Adjustment is being called to order. It's 6:02 in City Council chambers. Agenda item number 2, are there any comments or remarks of visitors that are not related to the agenda item? Okay, then we'll go on to item number 3. Conduct a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comments and testimony regarding a zoning variance request submitted to the City of Navasota by Gennaro Jr. and Kendra K. Romero for the property located along 514 Victoria Street in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas 77868, parcel ID R23861. The variance request to allow for the construction of a patio addition encroaching within the 25-foot front setback requirements as prescribed in Article 5, R-1A, high-density single-dwelling unit, 7,000 square foot lot, residential district. The property affected is legally described as Felder, Block 18, lots 8, 9, 10, and partial in a part of...
Oh, the south half, basically.
Okay, the south half.
Reads.
All right. And I'll call the hearing to order at 6:03. Lupe, you want to give us some background?
Sure. Madam Chair, Zoning Board of Adjustment, just to give a brief summary and background. Originally, this is the second request on the structure being discussed. Originally, a variance request was submitted for a 5-foot setback, and that is 5 feet setback from the front property line, and that's approximately where the structure sits today. That variance request was denied. Subsequently, staff received a second variance request requesting a 7-foot front setback, so essentially cutting the structure back or moving it 2 feet further towards the home. And so that order is attached for your review and consideration. And just for background purposes, again, the structure originally was built without a permit. We reached out to Ms. Romero, and she was quick to get us the information and apply for the permit. And we just let her know that we'd have to go through this process. If there's any questions about the current structure, so that's just currently making its way through a code enforcement process and eventually municipal court, since it is a zoning violation, and that just takes time. So that really has no basis on her requesting another application. She can do so in the meantime, but just to let you know and the public know that it is in process through code enforcement and eventually municipal court, and that's where potential fees or fines will be assessed, but that's at the discretion of the municipal judge. So for tonight's purpose, we're here to discuss the variance request itself, which is a 7-foot front setback. And I'm sure there's people from the public that want to speak on the item, and they'll have an opportunity to do so, as well as the applicant.
Okay. Ms. Romero, did you want to speak first?
I have somebody who's going to speak on my behalf.
Okay. I need you to come up to the mic and identify yourself, please.
I can wait till the end if somebody else prepares to speak. Can you all hear me on the mic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my name's Anthony Fontana. I am a native of Navasota. I actually reside in Houston now. I'm a real estate and construction attorney. I grew up down the street from the Romero's house on Victoria Street, and I currently own the property on 1312 Neal Street. So I received notice of the first hearing a few months ago and didn't think that it was really necessary for me to come and give my comments. But since then, Ms. Romero reached out to me and asked me for help and assistance, and I gladly offered it. I believe that this is the type of variance that this committee is used to reviewing and approving. We all know that the reason for zoning is for health and safety of the community, to set back different areas of town for different purposes. The health and safety reasons that support zoning are the reasons that the Romeros built this patio in the first place. You can see their gates, not from this picture, but up the stairs. Everything latches and is built to allow their children to play outside, to have a place to make memories with their family, and also keep their kids safe on this patio. I grew up, like I said, down the street. I remember right outside of high school, I started working, and Gene and Kendra were young professionals. They just bought their house. They've done all the things that I think we expect young couples or want young couples to do. They got married. They bought a house. They had their family. And this place was special to me in that time in my life because we would meet, we would hang out in this house, and it's also a place not just for me, but it still continues in this neighborhood with other people that are young couples that have bought houses and reside there. I went through actually on Harris County to see within the area how many people own these houses and still live in them and how many are rental properties. You'll see some people in the audience that reside in the neighborhood that are completely in support of this application for a variance. And I own a rental property, and I'm also greatly in support of the issuance of this variance. I don't think that there is a health and safety reason to deny it. As Lupe said, the code enforcement will go through and ensure that everything is done properly. It is not a corner lot where there's any issue with traffic coming up to a stop sign and not being able to see where they can go. So the procedural history that Lupe brought up earlier, I think it's important to touch on because there may be, I've heard that there may be some concerns of people in the community doing things without contacting the city first. This is one of the only houses in the neighborhood that's been continually updated and improved, and that everything has been done the way it's supposed to be done. A little bit of history on this porch itself. Prior to the city adopting zoning laws in the first place, there was a porch built. After there was a post, Ms. Romero reached out and was under the impression that her existing porch was grandfathered in, which is why they added on to it. So a mistake is going to happen, not just here, but it happens all the time. People continually may make a mishap when it comes to permitting work. And so to ask this committee to always deny individuals who have done work on their properties without first asking permission, I think is a slippery slope and a big ask for this committee. The purpose of this committee, to me, is to provide these variances. The zoning laws that are enacted by the city cannot uniformly always be applied, right? I think that if it's not been before this committee, it's certainly been before previous committees where there are restrictions on lot setbacks prevent the use of property entirely. There are several residential lots in the north part of town that if we were to enforce those setbacks and never allow a variance, no home could ever even be built on these properties. Those types of examples are why we have this process in the first place. So any comments? This process is inherently a political one where people come and offer their opinions. There are those that are directly affected, those within a 200-foot radius that receive a notice for this to come and give their opinion. That's me. That's the other people that live in the neighborhood that are not here to voice opposition but have spoken positive words and words of support to the Romeros. Then there's those that are indirectly affected. Those who are indirectly affected, I think it would be unfortunate to weigh their comments more so than those who are affected, like me, Mr. Cravey, and others that said that they would be here to show their support. So when it comes down to it, I think that we have to take into consideration what the purpose is, what the use is. That's what this committee is for, to take into consideration use. We're not asking to put in a transportation stop. We're not asking to build a chemical plant. We're continuing to use this lot for residential purposes in A form, and simply to be able to have this family continue to make memories and use their front patio for making memories and the enjoyment. The previous denial, I'll would like to address. It was a 5-foot setback. Now we're asking for 7. If there is any way to know what would be acceptable in the alternative, then we would ask to know that so that this family can accomplish what it is that this committee would like for them to do. And if you have any questions for me, I'm
Well,
glad to
thank
answer.
you.
Thank you.
How many houses away do you currently live from that, or is your property?
Say again?
How many houses away from that property?
So if you're standing and looking at this porch, I am to the right. You go next to the next street.
Okay.
So within a 4-block radius. So I received a notice, so I was within, I guess, the 200-foot radius to be notified, so.
So staff goes a little bit beyond. State law requires 200 feet. We actually do 500 just for, get a little bit more feedback.
Okay.
Well, the lots, I think when P and Z approached that, it was because the lots are larger.
Yeah, there's some parts of town that,
100 feet, you might only have one person.
yeah, it doesn't go a long way in large acreage lots. This particular neighborhood has a good mixture, so, but regardless, we do 500 feet, but your property could be within the 200.
Yeah, we're just right down the road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak on this matter?
Hi, I'm Betsy Leonard. I want to speak to several things that Mr. Fontaine said. This is not necessarily a safe porch, and I believe someone else is going to speak to that in just a minute. And so, really, you need to take a hard look at whether you'd put your child out there. If you had a child playing out there, I certainly wouldn't leave them unsupervised. You have to wonder, why does a city have ordinances? Why do they establish guidelines? And that's my question that applies here. You have guidelines, you have orders so that you have some semblance of uniformity of, just not hodgepodge buildings from lot to lot. It's kind of like everyone doing his own thing, what they thought was right in their own eyes. No, you have to have some order. And that's why you all have these ordinances. And I really appeal to you all to consider, why you have the ordinance if you're just going to overlook it and approve it. This particular request does not satisfy any of the guidelines that are in the ordinance procedures. It's not inherent to the property, it's not unique to the property, you all got that packet, it doesn't satisfy any of them. And so you can't offer a variance when it's this far off the mark. And just one other thing I want to say, we built a storeroom back in 2010 when we finished it, and we had to get a variance before we ever started building. And so we were happy to do it, and to get approval for it. We would have been happy if we couldn't have, but it's nice to know that you've done things in the right way. Thank you all.
Thank you.
My name is Ed Cravey. I live at 507 Victoria, directly across the street from property we're talking about. As far as security, I've never seen that child without supervision. And I'm out there a lot because I'm retired and I'm home all the time. And when that child is on the patio, that child's never been out there, that either an adult or his older brother's not with him. So the other thing is that the main reason I came with Ms. Romero is that the stop sign is continually being run. And I counted 40 one day, I counted 60 another day. I saw a law enforcement officer run the stop sign. I saw a school bus run the stop sign. I've seen just hundreds of people running the stop sign, so it's definitely it's dangerous street. And I walk a lot, and I walked all over Navasota, and it's the most diverse as far as where the lots, the building, and any kind of structures built. There's no standardization from the time it was formed. So to try to make it a cookie cutter type situation would be impossible. I live right across the street and have absolutely no problem with the looks of the property because it's constant. They probably have spent more money on their house than anybody on the street of Victoria. So I'm very much in favor of what she's trying to do. She's trying to keep a child safe. She's has made that house into a really nice house. So I am really in favor of her getting the variance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Prior to the next individual speaking, last hearing, we had the same concern with the stop sign, and you were going to bring it up to the police. What was the result of that conversation, since the neighbor across the street just counted 40 to 60 cars in one day, or in 2 different days, that blew the stop sign?
Yeah, we're still working with PD on that to see what the resolution is, or if there's a solution.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Brenda Meekins, and I owned a home on Horlock Street, which is the next street over. I too received the letter in regards to the porch that was built. Didn't pay a lot of attention to it until Ms. Romero actually reached out to me. My in-laws lived on Horlock Street for many, many years, for as long as I was married to my husband. So I saw them move into the home, saw what it was like when they purchased it, and over the years, I have seen it progress and then put, like the gentleman said, invest a lot of money into their home. So they take a lot of pride in that, is one thing that I've noticed. I did drive by today just to take a look at it and see, because again, it was something that I really had not paid a lot of attention to, because again, they've always been trying to make their home look really nice. I believe that if this structure is not complete, I don't know if it's safe for children or not. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how it was structurally built. However, I do know that the Romeros, their children are their life, so I can't imagine them building something that would not be safe for their children. And I think that if it is not complete, they've always continued to, like I said, work on their home and make it look presentable. I believe that the final outcome will be the same as it has been in the years prior, that they've been continuously adding and making their house look nice. I don't know if there's any, do you have any questions for me? I can't add a lot more than what the gentlemen have already said, but I appreciate that they take good care of what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to make a couple of comments in response to Ms. Leonard. As I pointed out earlier, the porch itself to this family will be as safe as it's required to be, more so. When it comes to this committee's concerns about health and safety, this committee should have no concerns about public walking down the sidewalks, driving down the street. There is no issue with that. The second thing I'd like to address is, why do we have zoning guidelines? Zoning guidelines are not HOA guidelines. This neighborhood is not an HOA neighborhood where a committee, an architectural committee, gets together and decides that all houses should look uniform. All houses should have the same porches, the same paint color, and the same roof. So that point, if if this were an HOA neighborhood, we wouldn't even be here, right? We'd be in front of an HOA board. So this Planning and Zoning Committee's purpose is to evaluate the ordinances we have, to ensure that they are followed, but also to provide variances in instances where they're appropriate. And this is certainly an appropriate instance.
Thank you.
Do I have any questions of anyone?
Not for him right now, no.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Helen Quinn. I live in the 400 block of Victoria, and I was here at the first hearing and didn't say anything, and then I came again and did say something. I just want to reiterate that my remarks when I did speak still hold true, but I don't think it's a suitable addition to the neighborhood. I'm sure the house, as has been pointed out, is a lovely house, but it certainly is not made more lovely by that porch that sticks out in almost to the road. I noticed that the original, 5-foot variance has been changed to 7 feet, and I'm wondering why 2 feet extra would make a difference. I measured 2 feet is the tip of my fingers to my shoulder. You know, what difference is that going to make to anything? As far as the safety on the street, the stop sign, that's not really very relevant right now because we're not questioning the safety of her children. There is a backyard, which I understand has a swimming pool, and that also is a possible safety thing. You have to keep an eye on children when there's an open pool around. I think that the aesthetics of the neighborhood really don't embrace this kind of structure right up to the street. And so I'm still against it. I think the house would look nice without it. You know, I'm not talking about child safety because that's a whole different thing. The running of the stop sign, I really can't speak to because I can't, from my house, I can't see the stop sign, even though I'm only 1, 2, 3 houses up the road because I'm set back. I know when I built my fence back, soon after I moved in, I was aware of the requirements, and I had a friend who came and helped. I stood in the middle of the road in the traffic with one end of a tape measure, and she stood on the side, and we measured 25 feet, and that's where we put the fence. Now, if I could do that, I think other people ought to be able to follow the rules and regulations. I'm just still against it, not for a personal reason, just because it is a rule, and rules are supposed to be followed, and if they're not, then everybody's going to do their own thing, and that's not going to help the city, the appearance, when there's all such good things been going on downtown to try and make it a more beautiful city, more welcoming, more suitable for tourists, visitors. You know, if they go on the side streets, then that's not going to help. Anyway, that's just my opinion. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Chair, I also did want to note that I did receive a phone call this afternoon from a Denise Brannon. She lives at 1118 Kettler, and she just wanted to make it be known that she is also against the variance. She felt that the setback is just too extreme, the request, and the structure is unsightly and dangerous. So those are her comments. I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kendra Romero. This is my property at 514 Victoria. As far as children being unsafe, the safety of my children has always been number one. So the porch is not unsafe. The porch is not complete. I had to stop in the middle because I had gotten about the variance and everything else. So it is not complete as what you see right now. I have done a little bit of work as far as painting it to make it look a little bit better for the time being. So yes, more work does need to be put into it, skirting and everything else. So as far as looks go, that's where we stopped at that point. 2 feet does make a big difference if you do pull it back, which I have no problem in doing. And again, if, like Anthony said, if that is not an approval distance, advising what would be, you know, we are open for options as far as that goes. As far as downtown, you know, constantly improving, yes, I do see that y'all do improve. But as Anthony and Mr. Cravey has said, I am the only house on Victoria Street that have done major improvements. There are no other houses. We do take pride in our home, which is why we have done additions to the house. We have completely remodeled the house on the inside. So to say the house is unsightly or anything like that, that is not what I have ever done to my house. So that for me is just shouldn't be taken into account of what other people's opinions are of what my house looks like, because I could say the same for other people's homes. So them saying my house doesn't look good to them, I could say the same for others. So that shouldn't even be a waiver. As far as health and safety of the city, it does not obstruct the vision of the stop sign that continuously gets ran. You are able to see past the porch, you know, pulling in or out of the driveway. So there is no safety concern as far as that goes. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Gail Moore, and I would like to just say that I am in favor of the zoning requirements that we have in our town, not in any form of an HOA situation. I'm so glad we don't have that all over the place, but we do have rules, and I would be in favor of finding out what y'all would suggest to comply for them to, rather than the 2 feet, but if it required some other distance, so that they could come back and be within regulation, so that they could still have their porch, but maybe comply more with the zoning. I do work with construction quite a bit, and the one thing that I remember from the previous meeting about this was that she wanted their children to be safe on this porch. And I would just suggest that in the front of the porch you have the vertical boards running, which are more safe for children. If in fact this were in a childcare, daycare situation and you had a porch like this, you would not pass requirements with the horizontal boards that are on the side. Well, I'm just offering this because children climb on horizontals like they are stairs, and then you might have an accident. So, because I have children and grandchildren, and I would want your kids to be safe as well. So that was the first thing that I noticed, and I didn't know where you were on construction with it at all. But I do appreciate the work of this committee. I appreciate the zoning requirements in our town, and that's just what I would like to offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just what was your address?
1015 Felder Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, or? Now, just to reiterate, the initial porch already encroached, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But that was grandfathered in, essentially?
Yeah, the original, that's kind of under that awning there, under the covered awning, that was built many, many years ago. It's kind of hard to determine exactly what time, but at this point, if it was built before roughly 2011, 2010, it's considered grandfathered or non-conforming. The rule of the 25-foot front setback, it actually lines up roughly at about the front fascia of the home. So, any addition to the front of the home would automatically be an encroachment. And so those previous structures are non-conforming or grandfathered, and so this new addition would be completely encroaching, and that's why the need of the variance. So, but yeah, you're correct. The original patio, even it encroached within the front setback.
I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:33 if nobody else has any comments.
I just would like to make one more comment. I think that what
Well, I've just closed the public hearing. Okay, let's see. Okay, agenda item number 4, consideration and possible action on order number 7-2023 regarding a zoning variance request submitted to the City of Navasota by Gennaro Jr. and Kendra K. Romero for the property located along 514 Victoria Street in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas, 77868. Parcel ID R23861. The variance request to allow for the construction of a patio addition encroaching within the 25-foot front setback requirements as prescribed in Article 5, R-1A, high-density, single-dwelling unit, 7,000 square foot lot, residential district. The property affected is legally described as Felder, Block 18, Lot 8, 9, 10, and half of the south lot.
And again, Madam Chair and ZBOA, I just want to reiterate that there's two orders attached to this item for your consideration and action. The first is denying the variance request with the similar reasoning and language as before, and then the second order is assuming that you would vote to approve. So we just staff just put those in the packet for you, depending on whatever direction you want to go, based on the feedback you heard tonight.
And the approval is for the lesser
7-foot.
encroachment.
Yes, I'm hoping that's what we have in here. Yes, it's 7.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
And if you would like to just kind of refresh, the last item is the meeting minutes, and that kind of just summarizes the action of before too.
So just to confirm, Lupe, we have the ability to vote yes or no, or we can abstain, or are we required to say yes or no?
So I think a vote would have to be made whether for or against it,
Okay.
because in order to give the applicant the proper opportunity to appeal if a no vote was done, so you'd have to vote either way.
Okay, thank you.
And we can't have discussion without a motion, correct?
Well, you can have discussion on this item. The public hearing's over, so this is really a deliberation and questions for you guys amongst the board. But Robert's rule is there just to make the meeting more effective. But the feedback portion is in the public hearing, and now it's just for deliberation and discussion.
Okay. I don't think that safety of the patio itself is a part of our consideration. And the issues with speeding and running stop signs need to be addressed with the police department. And I don't think that that's part of our consideration either. I move to deny the request based on the reasons that were given before, with the previous denial. Second. We have a motion and a second by Ms. Conlon. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think the city is inability to stop the running of stop signs, and this has been brought up multiple times. I think this variance and the reason why they built it is in conjunction with the safety factor for their family.
I'm sorry,
I said the city's inability to stop the running of a stop sign does inherently affect the safety of their family and their ability to use their property. So for that fact, I'm going to go ahead and vote in favor of the 7-foot easement encroachment for the variance.
Okay, so that's a motion, correct, to approve.
Yeah, so.
well, I made a motion to deny.
They made a motion to deny, 2 people are in
So we
favor.
go ahead and call for the vote?
Well, so that now a motion is that's why I want to clarify, Paul. So are you making a motion to approve it? Because then someone will have to second that motion.
Yeah,
Or are you waiting for the vote to be cast?
I'm waiting for the vote to be cast. I was just,
Okay.
for discussion purposes, bring it up.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so a motion to Connie to disapprove the item based on the previous order, reasoning, and Jill seconded. And so if there's any other discussion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Hey.
No.
Okay, so how do we proceed from here? Need your help.
5 people?
Well, I think that, if, Paul, you're more than welcome to make a motion to approve, but I'm assuming that we have 2 members that are in favor, 2 members against, so if we were to make a motion to approve, it would be 2-2. So in order for a variance to be approved, you need 4 concurrent members of the ZBOA to vote in favor. So even if it was a 3-1 split, 2-2, it still wouldn't be approved. So, you can make another motion if you'd like. However, the motion has been voted on, so I think that's the standing of the order.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a motion because the vote's already been cast.
Okay. All right. Thank you all.
So where does that leave Ms. Romero?
And so as I mentioned at the beginning, when I'm going over the summary, the structure is already there today. This was simply a ruling on the encroachment of the variance. the current structure is not permitted, because, still, and again, it was reiterated tonight that the variance to encroach up to 7 feet is not permitted, and it hasn't been allowed again. So the current case with code enforcement, which is a structure, I think there was 2 violations on the case. Number 1, no permit, and 2, encroachment within the setback. I think for the permit, code enforcement is not moving forward with that item because she was, quickly, once she was notified, she applied for it, went through the proper channels and mechanisms, but the only violation still standing is encroaching within that 25-foot setback. And so that's going to continue to move forward with code enforcement and municipal court, and that'll be determined at a later date. And the municipal judge will determine if fines or fees are assessed or not. So in terms of the order, it's denied due to the 2-2.
Okay. All right, moving on, item number 5.
I can get with you, Ms. Romero, after the meeting. We can go over the order if you like.
So the structure still, based on the vote, the structure still stands?
Yes,
Is that
the structure
correct?
still
Okay.
stands, yeah. ZBOA, the purpose of the ZBOA is to vote on the variances themselves,
Right.
encroachments, or variances from the zoning ordinance, but this body is not, you don't have the authority to order it removed or destroyed or dismantled. That's a completely separate process.
Right, okay. Okay, number 5, consideration and possible action on approval of the October 18th, 2023 meeting minutes as presented.
Move to approve the minutes for October 18th, 2023.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Conlon, seconded by Mr. Stankiewicz to approve the minutes for October 18th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we're adjourned.
At 6:44.